Eric Freeman straightened his tie as the transport ship docked at Sendaria Station. After years of training and diplomatic service on Earth, this was his moment. The first human diplomat to be granted full ambassador status to the Galactic Council in over a decade. "Ambassador, we've arrived," said the pilot. "Council representatives are waiting in the main hall." Eric nodded. His stomach tightened with both excitement and concern. Relations between Earth and the Council had been tense since humans first developed faster-than-light travel 30 years ago. Too fast, the Council said. Too aggressive, too ambitious. Humans needed to be contained, they argued. Eric was here to change their minds. He stepped onto the station, breathing in the slightly sweet artificial air that filled all Council spaces. Two tall, blue-skinned Meridian officials approached. "Ambassador Freeman," one said with a small bow. "Welcome to Xendaria. I am Talvik, your liaison." "Thank you for the welcome," Eric replied with practiced ease. "I look forward to representing Earth's interests and finding common ground with the Council." Talvik's face remained neutral. "Your quarters have been prepared. Tomorrow, you will address the full Council." The station was a marvel of alien engineering. A massive ring spinning in orbit around the neutral planet Xendaria, home to the governing body of 57 spacefaring species. Humans were the newest addition, and the least trusted. In his quarters, Eric reviewed his notes. His speech needed to be perfect. Earth needed mining rights in the Proxima system. Without those resources, human expansion would stall. Some Council races, particularly the insect-like Vorchons, strongly opposed giving humans any further territory. Too dangerous, they always said. Humans advance too quickly. That night, Eric sent a message home to his wife, Karen. "The air here smells like cinnamon. Wish you could see this place. I miss you. And the kids. I'll call after my speech tomorrow." This will work. I can feel it. The Council chamber was enormous. Tiered seating rose in a half circle, each section marked with the flag of a member species. Eric stood at the speaker's podium, heart pounding. "Honored representatives," he began. "Earth comes to you today not as a threat, but as a partner." He spoke for 20 minutes, outlining Earth's proposal: fair trade, limited expansion, cultural exchange. As he spoke, he noticed the Vorchan delegation chittering among themselves, mandibles clicking in obvious disagreement. When he finished, the chamber erupted in debate. The Vorchan representative, Sklar, rose to speak. "Humans ask for trust while building warships. They request resources while their population explodes. We have seen this pattern before with the Krell. We all remember how that ended." The debate grew heated. Several species voiced support for Earth, but more sided with the Vorchans. After hours of discussion, the Council adjourned without a decision. Eric returned to his quarters, disappointed but not defeated. There would be more sessions, more chances to persuade them. He didn't notice the shadows moving in the corridor behind him. That evening, as Eric prepared a message for Earth's government, his door seal suddenly hissed. Lock overridden. 6 Vorchans entered, led by a figure in Council security uniform. "What is the meaning of this?" Eric demanded. "A message," said the leader, voice translator making the words flat and cold. "For all humans." They splashed something across the room. The smell hit him immediately. Fuel, highly flammable. Eric lunged for the emergency communicator. "This is Ambassador Freeman. I need." The first match struck. Flames raced across the floor, up the walls. The Vorchans retreated, sealing the door. Eric's training kicked in. He activated his emergency beacon and grabbed the communicator again. "Earth Command, this is Freeman. I'm under attack." The Vorchans. He coughed as smoke filled the room. "They've set fire to my quarters." The flames spread impossibly fast. The sprinkler system remained offline. Override. With his final moments, Eric recorded one last message as the fire reached him. "Tell them we came in peace," he gasped, skin blistering. "Tell them what they did." The Vorchans ensured the feed was broadcasting to all council channels. A lesson for humanity. Across Earth, screens lit up with the horrifying footage. Their Diplomat, burning alive on a station that was supposed to be safe. In that moment, everything changed. Samantha Powell stood frozen before the large screen in Earth's diplomatic center. The footage of Eric Freeman's death played on loop across every news channel. His final words echoed in her mind. "Tell them we came in peace. Tell them what they did." As acting director of diplomatic affairs, Samantha had sent Eric to Xandaria. He had been her friend for 15 years. Now she watched him burn, over and over. "Turn it off," she finally said. The screens went dark. The room was filled with high-ranking officials from Earth's government. No one spoke for several minutes. "The Galactic Council claims this was the work of extremists," said General Frank Davis, breaking the silence. "They deny any official involvement." Samantha's hands tightened into fists. They broadcast his murder on official council channels. They wanted us to see it. President Laura Reeves entered the room. Everyone stood at attention. "I've just finished speaking with the council's high speaker," she announced. "They offer condolences and promise an investigation." Her voice was tight with controlled anger. "They also suggest we send a replacement diplomat." Murmurs of outrage filled the room. "They burn our ambassador alive and expect us to send another?" General Davis asked. President Reeves raised her hand for silence. "I've called you here to decide our response. Director Powell, your recommendation." Samantha looked at the blank screen where she had watched her friend die. "We need someone on the inside. Someone who can find the truth and deliver justice." She paused. "But not just any diplomat. We need Lisa Harper." Several people shifted uncomfortably at the name. "Harper was removed from diplomatic service 3 years ago," someone pointed out. "For being too aggressive," Samantha responded. "For putting Earth's interests above alien sensibilities. That's exactly what we need now." President Reeves nodded slowly. "Get her." Captain Jack Miller received the emergency recall while patrolling the outer colonies. His ship, the EDF Vengeance, was the fastest in Earth's defense fleet. "Plot a course for Earth, maximum speed," he ordered. His second-in-command, Ben Carter, looked confused. "Sir." Jack pointed to the message on his screen. "They killed Freeman." Ben's face hardened. "Course set for Earth, sir." The Vengeance turned and disappeared into faster-than-light travel, leaving only a brief flash of light behind. Lisa Harper lived in a small cabin in the mountains of what was once called Colorado. After her forced retirement from diplomatic service, she had withdrawn from public life. The knock on her door came at sunset. "Go away," she called. The door opened anyway. Samantha Powell stood in the doorway. "You look terrible, Sam," Lisa said. "Have you seen the news?" Lisa shook her head. "I don't watch the news anymore." Samantha stepped inside and activated a small projector. The footage of Eric Freeman played silently. Lisa watched without expression, but her eyes grew harder with each passing second. "The council?" she asked when it finished. "The Vorchans, at least. Probably others." Lisa turned away. "Why are you here, Sam?" "We need you back." "I was too harsh, too direct, too human," Lisa said bitterly. "That's what they told me when they pushed me out." "Yes," Samantha agreed. "And that's exactly why we need you now." A small funeral was held for Eric Freeman. His wife Karen stood silent as they lowered an empty coffin into the ground. There had been nothing left to bring home. Among the mourners stood representatives from 7 alien species, the only council members who had openly condemned the attack. The Meridian ambassador approached Karen after the service. "My people stand with humanity in this dark time," he said softly. "What happened to your husband breaks all laws of diplomacy. Not all of us are your enemies." Karen looked at him with tear-filled eyes. "Thank you, but I fear it's too late for such distinctions." In an emergency session, Earth's united government voted on response measures. For the first time in decades, the vote was unanimous. Lisa Harper was officially appointed as Earth's new ambassador to the Galactic Council. Captain Miller's Vengeance was reassigned as her personal transport. Before departing, Lisa met with President Reeves. "Your mandate is clear," the president said. "Find who is responsible, all of them, and make sure they understand the cost of killing the human diplomat." Lisa nodded. "They think we're just another species to bully and control." Her voice was calm but ice-cold. It's time they learned otherwise. The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Lisa Harper entered. Unlike her predecessor, she wore no formal diplomatic robes. Instead, she was dressed in a simple black uniform with Earth's flag on her shoulder. 4 armed human guards walked behind her. "This is highly irregular," the High Speaker said, his elongated head tilting in disapproval. "Security forces are not permitted in the council chamber." Lisa ignored him and walked to the center of the room. The guards formed a protective square around her. "I am Ambassador Lisa Harper, representing Earth," she announced. Her voice was steady and cold. "My security detail stays with me at all times. After what happened to Ambassador Freeman, I'm sure you understand." Murmurs spread across the chamber. The Vorchan delegation shifted uncomfortably. "Ambassador Harper," the High Speaker continued, "we deeply regret the actions of extremists. The individuals responsible have fled, but we assure you they will be found." Lisa smiled without warmth. "I appreciate your concern. Now, before we begin today's session, I have something to show you all." She activated a small projector she had brought with her. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It was Eric Freeman's final moments. Some council members looked away. Others watched in horror. The Vorchan delegation began to protest loudly. "This is inappropriate," their representative shouted. Lisa let the recording play to its horrible end. Then she looked directly at the Vorchan delegation. "Was it inappropriate when you broadcast this live across council channels?" she asked. "Or is it only inappropriate now that I'm forcing you to face what you did?" "We did not," the Vorchan began. "I have evidence linking 5 council members directly to this assassination," Lisa interrupted. She held up a data drive. "Names, communications, transfer of funds, everything." The High Speaker extended a long, thin hand. "We will examine this evidence carefully, Ambassador." Lisa did not hand over the drive. Earth has already examined it. Earth has already reached its conclusions. She looked around the chamber slowly, making eye contact with each delegation. "I am not here to request an investigation. I am not here to ask for justice." Her voice carried to every corner of the silent room. "I am here to inform you that justice is coming." The council erupted into angry shouts and denials. Lisa stood unmoved at the center of the storm. The High Speaker banged his ceremonial staff against the floor. "Order. We will have order." When the room quieted, he addressed Lisa directly. "These are serious accusations, Ambassador Harper. The council will need to verify your evidence before any action can be taken." "Of course," Lisa replied. "Take all the time you need. My evidence will be made public in 72 hours, regardless of your findings." "That is not how the council operates," the High Speaker stated firmly. Lisa's eyes hardened. "That is how Earth operates now." She turned and walked out of the chamber, her guards close beside her. She threatened the entire council, the Vorchan representative hissed to his allies after the session. "This cannot be tolerated." The Dravid delegate, a reptilian being with azure scales, leaned forward. "We should have expected this. Humans are emotional creatures. They lash out when hurt." "They are dangerous," the Vorchan insisted. "This new ambassador is not like Freeman. She does not fear us." "Perhaps she should," said the Krell representative, his gray skin wrinkling with displeasure. Lisa returned to the Earth vessel orbiting Xendaria. Unlike Freeman, she had refused council housing. Captain Miller waited for her on the bridge. "How did it go?" he asked. "Exactly as expected," Lisa replied. "They denied everything. They dismissed the evidence." Miller nodded. "And now?" "Now we wait," Lisa said. She looked out at the stars. Earth has withdrawn from all trade agreements with Council races. Our ships are pulling back from shared territories. The quiet before the storm, Miller observed. Lisa's expression remained neutral, but her eyes burned with determination. They think I'm bluffing. They think Earth will back down rather than challenge the entire Council. She turned to face Miller. Send the signal to begin Phase 2. Miller nodded and pressed a sequence on his command console. A simple message was transmitted to Earth. Cold wind rises. Lisa watched Xandaria rotate slowly beneath them. They've misunderstood our position, Captain. I didn't come here to request justice. You came to deliver it, Miller finished. Exactly, Lisa said. And they won't see it coming until it's too late. Alan Parker did not look like a spy. With his average height, plain face, and unremarkable brown hair, he was easy to forget. This made him perfect for his job. For 3 weeks, he had worked as a maintenance technician on Xandaria Station. No one looked twice at him as he fixed air filters and repaired door mechanisms. The aliens barely noticed humans in service roles. Tonight, Alan moved through the lower levels of the Council Tower. His tool belt held real repair equipment, but also contained specialized listening devices and hacking tools. His earpiece crackled softly. Clock is ticking, Parker. You have 30 minutes before the security sweep. Understood, Alan whispered. He reached a maintenance hatch and quickly bypassed its security. The narrow passage beyond led to a small room filled with data servers. These machines stored the Council's most private communications. Alan plugged a small device into one of the ports. I'm in, he reported. Downloading now. While he waited, Alan thought about Eric Freeman. They had trained together years ago before their paths diverged. Freeman to diplomacy, Parker to intelligence work. Now Freeman was dead, and Parker was risking his life to find out why. The device blinked green. Download complete. As Alan turned to leave, he heard voices approaching. He pressed himself against the wall in the shadows. 2 Council security officers entered, a Meridian and a Krell. The High Speaker is concerned about the human ambassador. The Meridian said, she knows too much. The Inner Circle made a mistake with Freeman. The Krell replied, they should have been more subtle. Alan held his breath. The Inner Circle. This was new information. The Vorchans were too eager, the Meridian continued. But the plan remains. Humanity must be contained. The officers checked the servers and then left. Alan waited 5 minutes before slipping out. I've got something big, he whispered into his communicator. The assassination wasn't just the Vorchans. It goes higher. Lisa Harper sat silently in the council chamber for the 3rd consecutive day. She had not spoken since her initial appearance. She simply watched and listened as the council conducted its business. Her silence made the delegates nervous. Several tried to engage her in conversation during breaks, but she responded with only short, uninformative answers. The human is playing some game. The Vorchan representative complained to the High Speaker. Her presence disturbs proceedings. She has the right to attend. The High Speaker replied, we cannot remove her without cause. From her seat, Lisa observed everything. Which species talked to each other, which avoided each other, who held real power in the room. She was building a map of relationships and alliances. After the session ended, Lisa returned to the Earth vessel. Captain Miller was waiting with urgent news. Agent Parker has discovered something critical, Miller said. The assassination was approved by what they call the Inner Circle, a secret group within the Council leadership. Lisa's eyes narrowed. The Vorchans were just the tool, not the hand that guided it. Exactly, Miller confirmed. And there's more. Parker found communications suggesting this was part of a larger plan to contain human expansion. Freeman's death was meant to be a warning, to force us to accept limitations. Where is Parker now? Lisa asked. Miller's expression darkened. He was trying to identify the Inner Circle members when his cover was blown. Council security took him into custody 3 hours ago. Lisa clenched her fists. They'll try to find out what he knows, what he told us. Parker was trained to resist interrogation, Miller said, but he won't hold out forever. Lisa walked to the viewport, looking down at Sendaria. How much time do we have? 24 hours, maybe less, Miller estimated. After that, we have to assume they know everything Parker discovered. Lisa was silent for a long moment. Then she turned to Miller, her decision made. Advance the timeline. Notify Earth that we're moving to Phase 3 immediately. That's ahead of schedule, Miller pointed out. Some elements aren't in position yet. We can't wait, Lisa insisted. Parker risked everything to get this information. We can't let it go to waste. She paused. And we can't leave him in their hands. Miller nodded and moved to the communications console, sending the signal now. Across Council space, human ships that had been withdrawing suddenly changed course. The Earth response was beginning. The public execution was scheduled for noon, Sendaria time. The Council called it a lawful punishment for espionage. In reality, it was a message to Earth. Alan Parker stood on the floating platform in the main square of Sendaria City. His face was bruised from days of questioning. Council security guards flanked him on both sides. Thousands watched from below. Millions more viewed through broadcasts across Council space. The High Speaker himself presided over the event. This human has been found guilty of espionage against the Galactic Council, the High Speaker announced. Such crimes carry the maximum penalty under Council law. Parker looked out at the crowd with calm eyes. He had not broken under interrogation. He had revealed nothing of what he discovered or transmitted to Harper. But the Council wanted him dead before Earth could attempt a rescue. In the Council chamber, Lisa Harper sat in her usual seat. Today's session had been shortened so the members could attend the execution. Lisa had remained behind, watching the proceedings on the large screen that dominated the wall. The evidence Parker had sent her was displayed on her personal device. Names, communications, plans, everything pointing to the Council's inner circle. 7 high-ranking members from different species who secretly controlled Council policy. They had ordered Freeman's death to stop human expansion. Lisa's communicator vibrated silently. A message from Captain Miller. All units in position. She stood up and walked to the center of the empty chamber. The few staff members present paid her little attention. She tapped her earpiece twice. This is Harper. Execute. On her screen, she watched as the High Speaker raised his ceremonial staff to signal the beginning of Parker's execution. Suddenly, the broadcast feed flickered. The High Speaker looked up in confusion. A massive explosion rocked the square. Not where Parker stood, but high above. The Council's orbital defense platform erupted in flames. More explosions followed, one after another. The defensive satellites that protected Xandaria burst into fireballs visible even from the planet's surface. Lisa walked calmly toward the chamber exit. Council security officers rushed in, moving to block her path. Ambassador Harper, you are detained pending investigation, one announced. Lisa smiled slightly. I don't think so. The lights throughout the Council building flickered and died. Emergency systems activated, bathing everything in dim red light. In orbit above Tendaria, Captain Miller's vengeance decloaked. It was not alone. 5 other Earth vessels appeared alongside it, their weapon systems already targeting key points on the planet's surface. Back in the square, chaos erupted. The crowd scattered as more explosions lit up the sky. In the confusion, the guards on Parker's platform looked up, momentarily distracted. Parker acted instantly. Years of training took over as he disabled both guards with quick, precise strikes. He grabbed a weapon and jumped from the platform, disappearing into the panicking crowd. In the Council building, Lisa faced the security team. As they moved to apprehend her, the floor shook with another explosion. Closer this time, part of the ceiling collapsed, blocking some of the officers. Through the confusion, a figure appeared beside Lisa. Parker, breathing hard but very much alive. Right on time, Lisa said. Sorry I'm late, Parker replied. had a prior engagement. They fought their way to the roof where a small Earth shuttle waited. As they lifted off, Lisa activated a broadcast system that would reach every communication device in Council space. Her face appeared on screens everywhere: Council worlds, neutral planets, trade stations, and even in the main square of Sendaria, where confused Council members watched in stunned silence. "People of the Galactic Council," Lisa began. "I am Ambassador Lisa Harper of Earth. Today, we have disabled your orbital defenses as a demonstration of our capabilities." The shuttle docked with a vengeance. Lisa continued her broadcast from the bridge. "This is not a declaration of war. This is accountability. Your leaders murdered our diplomat and thought there would be no consequences." Her voice was steady, her eyes cold. They were wrong. Captain Miller gave her a slight nod. The message was being received across all channels. "We came to you in peace," Lisa continued. "You responded with fire. Now you will learn what happens when humanity's patience ends." 3 days after the attack on Sendaria's orbital defenses, the Galactic Council gathered in emergency session. The Grand Chamber, once a place of order and procedure, now buzzed with fear and anger. "Earth must be punished for this act of war," shouted the Vorchan representative, his mandibles clicking rapidly with agitation. The High Speaker raised his staff for silence. "We must respond with one voice. A divided council is exactly what the humans want." From her position on the Vengeance, Lisa Harper watched the proceedings through hacked security feeds. Captain Miller stood beside her, arms crossed. "They still don't understand," Lisa said. "They think this is about power or territory." "What's our next move?" Miller asked. Lisa turned to a nearby console and pressed a button. "We show them exactly what this is about." On Earth, President Reeves addressed the United Government. The room was packed with representatives from every human settlement, from Earth to the furthest colonies. "Today, we announce the Freeman Doctrine," she declared. "Its principle is simple. Any species that harms Earth diplomats forfeits their right to diplomacy." The assembly erupted in applause. From this moment forward, the president continued, "Earth will respond to diplomatic violence with proportional force, not as an act of war, but as justice." The Freeman Doctrine was broadcast across human space and transmitted directly to the Galactic Council. The council chamber fell silent as Lisa Harper entered. Unlike her previous visits, she came alone. No guards, no weapons, only a small data device in her hand. "Ambassador Harper," the High Speaker acknowledged cautiously. "The Council recognizes Earth's representative." "Thank you," Lisa replied. Her voice carried through the chamber without effort. "I come today with a message and a choice." She held up the data device. "This contains a list of names, individuals directly responsible for the murder of Ambassador Freeman." The device projected a holographic display that everyone could see. 23 names appeared, including 5 council representatives currently in the room. The Vorchan delegation began to protest loudly. "This list is based on evidence collected by Agent Parker before his scheduled execution," Lisa continued. "Earth demands these individuals be surrendered to human custody within 48 hours. The High Speaker leaned forward. "This is unprecedented. The Council does not surrender its members to foreign powers." "This is not a negotiation," Lisa replied. "This is notification." "And if we refuse?" asked the Dravid representative. Lisa's expression remained neutral. "Then Earth will take action to bring these individuals to justice ourselves." The chamber erupted in angry shouts. "You threaten the entire council," the Krell representative demanded. "Your fleet is impressive, Ambassador, but you face the combined might of 57 spacefaring civilizations." Lisa allowed herself a small smile. "I was hoping someone would say that." She pressed another button on her device. Across the galaxy, on every council homeworld, precisely timed explosions destroyed key military installations. The destruction was surgical, precise, and simultaneous. On screens around the council chamber, the feeds from these attacks played in real time. The members watched in horror as their most secure facilities burned. Earth has placed covert teams on every Council homeworld, Lisa explained calmly. What you're seeing is a demonstration, not an attack. None of these strikes targeted civilian areas. No lives were lost. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each delegation. That was our choice. We chose restraint. The chamber was completely silent now. You have 48 hours, Lisa said. Surrender those responsible for Freeman's death, or we will retrieve them ourselves. She paused. And our next demonstration will not be so harmless. As Lisa turned to leave, the Meridian representative spoke up. Ambassador, this path leads only to war. Is that what Earth wants? Lisa stopped but didn't turn around. What Earth wants is justice. What Earth wants is respect. Her voice hardened. What Earth wants is to never again watch one of our people burn while you broadcast it as entertainment. She walked out of the chamber, leaving the Council in stunned silence. On the Vengeance, Miller waited for her return. Did they understand the message? Lisa nodded. They understand. Now we wait to see if they're wise enough to listen. 24 hours after Lisa Harper's ultimatum, the Galactic Council remained in constant session. Arguments echoed through the chamber as delegations faced a choice none had expected to make. We cannot surrender to human demands, insisted the Krell representative. It would show weakness. And refusing would show foolishness, countered the Meridian ambassador. His blue skin had paled with stress. You saw what they can do. They penetrated our most secure facilities simultaneously. The High Speaker called for order as more voices joined the debate. Outside the chamber, other conversations were happening in private. The Luran delegate, representing a small but peaceful species, approached the representatives of 6 other minor powers. This conflict is not ours, she said quietly. Humans never threatened us. The inner circle made this decision without consulting the full council. What are you suggesting? Asked the Novan representative. That we break ranks, she replied. That we help the humans locate those responsible. On the Vengeance, Lisa received an unexpected message. The Luran delegate requested of a private meeting. It could be a trap, Captain Miller warned. Lisa considered this. The Luran have always been neutral. They gain nothing from Freeman's death. Still, we should take precautions, Miller insisted. Hours later, Lisa sat across from the Luran delegate in a secure room on a neutral trade station. Council security was not present, only Miller and 2 human guards. Ambassador Harper, the Luran began. 7 council races wished to offer assistance. Lisa remained expressionless. What kind of assistance? Information on the whereabouts of those on your list. And something more. The Luran passed a data chip across the table. The names of the inner circle members who orchestrated Freeman's death. Lisa studied the chip. Why help us? Because the council is corrupt. The Luran replied simply. Many smaller species have suffered under the rule of the dominant powers. We joined hoping for protection. Instead, we found control. Lisa inserted the chip into her device. 7 new names appeared, high-ranking officials who had carefully hidden their involvement. The Vorchans are attempting to flee, the Luran continued. Their ships left Xandaria 6 hours ago. Lisa looked up sharply. Where are they headed? Their homeworld, we believe. Lisa nodded to Miller, who immediately contacted the Vengeance to relay orders. Thank you, Lisa told the Luran. Earth won't forget this assistance. The Vorchan ships moved at maximum speed toward their home system. On board the lead vessel, the Vorchan delegation believed they had escaped. The humans are too focused on the council to track us, their leader chittered confidently. A sensor officer approached. Leader, we detect a ship following us. Impossible. We're at maximum speed. The sensor display showed a single vessel matching their course perfectly. It was gaining on them. It's an Earth ship, the officer confirmed. On the bridge of the Vengeance, Captain Miller tracked the Vorchan vessels. They're pushing their engines beyond safety limits. his tactical officer reported. Miller smiled grimly. And still we gain on them. He opened a communication channel. This is Captain Miller of the Earth vessel Vengeance to Vorchin ships. You are carrying individuals wanted for the murder of an Earth diplomat. Slow and prepare to be boarded. The Vorchins ignored the message and increased speed further. Miller shook his head. They never learn. He turned to his weapons officer. Disable their engines. Carefully. Precise shots struck the Vorchin ships, crippling their propulsion systems without causing catastrophic damage. The vessels drifted helplessly in space. On Earth, Intelligence Officer Nickel Davis studied information flooding in from Council space. Reports indicated the inner circle had vanished from Xandaria shortly after Lisa's ultimatum. They'd gone to ground, she told President Reeves. But they left a trail. The president reviewed the data. You found them. Not yet, Nickel admitted. But we've narrowed it down to 3 possible locations, all remote facilities outside normal Council space. We need to find them quickly, the president said, before this escalates further. Nickel nodded. I've already dispatched scout ships to each location. The president walked to the window, looking up at the stars. The council thought we would accept Freeman's death as a warning. Instead, it awakened something they weren't prepared for. Unity, Nickel said. For the first time in decades, all of humanity stands together. And not just humanity anymore, the president added, thinking of the 7 council races who had chosen to help. The balance of power is shifting. The uncharted moon orbited a gas giant in a system without a name, far from established trade routes. Its surface was barren and cold, uninhabitable except for a single facility built into the rock. Here, the inner circle had retreated to weigh out the human response. They believed their location was secret, their facility undetectable. They were wrong. Lisa Harper stood on the bridge of the Vengeance as it approached the moon. 5 other Earth ships formed a perimeter around the gas giant. There would be no escape. Life signs confirmed, reported the sensor officer. 28 individuals inside the facility. Lisa nodded. Begin the approach. No weapons unless they fire first. Captain Miller looked at her with surprise. You're going down there personally. I am. Lisa confirmed. This ends face to face. The shuttle landed near the facility's main entrance. Lisa stepped out wearing a simple environment suit, followed by a team of Earth's best soldiers. They moved quickly to the airlock. Inside, alarms blared. The inner circle members watched in panic as security feeds showed the human forces breaching their outer defenses. How did they find us? Demanded the Krell leader, his gray skin now ashen with fear. The high speaker's elongated fingers trembled. It doesn't matter. We must destroy all evidence of our plans. But it was too late. The doors to their command center slid open, and Lisa Harper walked in, flanked by armed humans. In the name of Earth, she announced, you are under arrest for the murder of Ambassador Eric Freeman and conspiracy against humanity. None resisted. Their security forces surrendered without firing a shot. The mighty rulers of the Galactic Council, who had ordered the death of a human diplomat, now stood defeated. You can't do this, the High Speaker protested weakly. The Council will never accept human authority over its members. Lisa smiled coldly. The Council as you knew it no longer exists. While you hid, 7 races broke away to form an alliance with Earth. More are joining them daily. She stepped closer to the High Speaker. You thought burning our diplomat would teach us our place. Instead, it showed the galaxy your true nature. 2 weeks later, the trial began on Earth. It was broadcast to every world in the galaxy. The Inner Circle members and their Vorchin agents faced justice before representatives of 23 species. Evidence recovered from the hidden facility revealed decades of manipulation, corruption, and crimes against numerous races. The Inner Circle had not only targeted humans, but had suppressed and controlled many species they deemed dangerous or unpredictable. The verdict was unanimous. The guilty would spend the rest of their lives on a prison planet, far from any influence or power. After the trial, President Reeves addressed the gathered representatives. Today marks a new beginning. The old council is dissolved. In its place, we propose a galactic assembly where all species have equal voice. The proposal passed with overwhelming support. 6 months later, Lisa Harper stood on Xandaria, at the spot where the new Galactic Assembly headquarters was being constructed. Beside her stood representatives from former council races and new allies alike. At the center of the main plaza, workers were installing a memorial, a simple stone column with Eric Freeman's image and his final words. "Tell them we came in peace. Tell them what they did." The Meridian ambassador approached Lisa. "Your people have changed everything," he said. "In just a few months, you've transformed a system that stood for centuries." Lisa watched the memorial take shape. "We didn't want to change the galaxy," she replied. "We only wanted justice for one man." "And now?" the Meridian asked. Lisa looked up at the stars, visible even in the daytime sky of Xandaria. Dozens of ships from different worlds moved in orbit, no longer separated by old rivalries and fears. "Now we build something better," she said simply. "Something worthy of Freeman's sacrifice." Later that day, Lisa sent a message to Karen Freeman on Earth. It contained an image of the memorial and a simple message: "It's done." He would be proud. As Lisa prepared to attend the first official session of the new Galactic Assembly, she thought about how one life, and one death, had changed the course of history. The galaxy had learned a crucial lesson. Humans would always come in peace, but they would always demand justice.